Hi everyone. So we are going to do a quick unboxing of the kit that you received. So when you take things out of the bag, you should see first the wood parts and a few things that are rubber banded to it. So I'm gonna take that rubber band off, but make sure that you keep this rubber band because this is what you're gonna use to hold your cell phone onto the cell phone mount. So we're gonna put that aside. And what you should have is a 12-inch ruler, okay, if we need to use for measuring, whether it's this project or future projects. You should see the cell phone small piece with a T-nut already hammered into it and the hole drilled all the way through. Something else you're going to notice is that the edges where the cuts were made were left very rough. And that was done so that you will use the sandpaper, which I'll talk about in a moment, to sand everything smooth and get rid of those rough edges. So we have the cell phone mount small piece with the T-nut attached. Next we have the base piece, okay? And just to review what the measurements should be of each of these, the thickness of every piece is a half an inch. Now, since this is plywood, plywood is rated a little bit smaller. So if you take your ruler from the 0, you might notice that it's a little bit shy of the half inch, but for our purposes, we're going to say it's a half inch thick. Notice I'm measuring from the 0, 3.5 inches wide by, 2.25 inches long, just like we did in the drawing. Next, we have our base piece, which is also a half inch thick, 3.5 inches wide by 5.75 of an inch long. So what I want you to do, if you are not sure of what piece is what, and you might get confused, you can take your masking tape for the time being, put a piece on there and label it. When we go to put parts together, you can just measure it, and I'll talk about which piece to put together in the videos that are following. So this is our base piece. Next, we have the cell phone mount, and this is the piece that your cell phone is actually going to mount to. It has the rabbet cut on the edge, and you can see it's very rough, and you're going to sand that. So all our pieces are a half inch thick, so I'm going to go past that quickly. 3.5 inches wide and 10 inches long. And the last piece you're going to see is the vertical piece. Hopefully I have the whole thing in frame. Yes, mostly. The vertical piece is going to be the most obvious because it has the rabbet joint cut in it. And it has the vertical groove that's going to be used to adjust your cell phone height up and down. So this one is a half inch thick, 3.5 inches wide. Now, since this is only a 12-inch ruler, I won't be able to measure the entire piece, but this piece is 15 inches long. So if I measured from here, the rest of it, we would have, you could see the 3 inches there, 12 plus 3 being 15. Now, when you go to unbox this, you are going to get little chips of wood and little pieces of dust on your work surface. So try to pick a work surface at your house that you're okay with getting some dust on. And, have if you have a dust buster available or some kind of vacuum that you can suck it up when you're done, that would be great, because you are going to get a little bit of dust. Moving on to the other parts of the kit, you're going to have sandpaper, all right? And you're going to have multiple sheets of sandpaper, okay? We have 100, 120, 150, 180, and last but not least, we have 220. Now, what do those mean? Well, we're going to talk about that in the sanding lesson, but the very quick answer to that is the lower the number, the rougher the paper, and the more material it's going to remove. We'll talk about that in our sanding lesson. That's going to be next. Next thing you're going to have is a bottle of Titebond wood glue, and we'll be using that to glue up the parts that we need to glue up. And last thing in the kit, actually second to last thing, is a roll of masking tape, which is going to act as our clamp when we glue parts together. It's going to hold things in place so they don't move while the glue dries. The very last thing, which you should have in your kit, is a bag with the knob and a washer, a metal washer taped to the bag with the knob. The only reason I'm not showing you that right now is because I'm actually using that knob on the cell phone stand that is holding this cell phone up to record this video. So the cell phone holder works. These are the parts you should have in your kit. Please let me know if you don't have a certain part, if you're missing something, and we'll try and get that situated. And I will talk to you in the next video where we go over sanding.